Everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Washington County Board of Education. At this time, I call this meeting to order. We have 6 members present this evening and our student board member, so we do have a quorum. This time, I invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This time we'll have approval of this evening's agenda. Is there a motion, please?
Move for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Zentmeyer. Any discussion of the agenda? All those in favor? Okay, we have 6 affirmative and the student member concurs.
Ms. Williams, I have the minutes for the approval. So for the first motion, there'll be the approval for the closed session minutes, excuse me, dated Tuesday, August the 2nd, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Okay, these are closed session minutes. All those in favor of approval? Okay. No? You're abstaining? So we have 5 affirmative and 1 abstention.
For the second motion I have tonight is for the business meeting minutes dated Tuesday, August the 2nd, 2022.
Thank you, Mr. Guessford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of August 2nd, 2022? Any additions or corrections? No? All those in favor of approval? All right, we have 5 affirmative. Did you have your hand up?
I did.
6 affirmatives. Thank you.
Just keeping you on your toes.
I appreciate that very much. Okay, so we have both sets of minutes approved. We'll move next to public comment. You have several names of people who have signed up in advance. And before I begin with the first person on our list, I'd like to read from policy KD regarding public comment at business meetings. This is under Roman numeral 3A, procedures of business meeting, item number 1. Each person wishing to address the Board of Education is encouraged but not required to sign up prior to the meeting and may address any topic concerning Washington County Public Schools except personnel or student matters which clearly identify an individual or individuals. Each speaker may speak for up to 5 minutes. Mr. Bickford is our timekeeper. Mr. Bickford, would you like to explain the...
When you have 30 seconds left, I'll hold up the yellow, and then red means to wrap your comments up.
Thank you. The first person I have on the list is Patricia Leisure. Hi. Yep. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
I'm coming because I'm presenting a project. I had emailed, I started last at a gathering.
Speak in the microphone so people can hear you on TV.
Sorry.
No, you're okay.
Okay, so I'm presenting a project for Washington County Public Schools, and the project is resurfacing the 400-meter track at North Hagerstown High School. It's the old track. So I reached out to one of your board members in an email. She directed me that I needed to address all of you. I put all of you into the email and then readdressed. And then you guys told me to reach out to, you connected me with Jeff Prue, who's been amazing. Jeff came to my school. I'm Patty Leisure. I'm starting my 25th year as a school teacher for Washington County Board of Education. I enjoy being a teacher, but my time teaching is coming to an end, and I still want to work in the community, working with our kids and our school district, okay? So one of those is the fact that I coach, and We have this track at North High that's deteriorated over the years, and according to Jeff, the idea is it's going to be tore up, and you would have to pay to have that track removed. So I was hoping to get the track resurfaced. It's the old asphalt track. It's the only one in the county, might even be the only one left in the state that's not the rubberized. But if we used asphalt, it could be used for multiple purposes outside of school as well. But it would give North High, how this would directly impact our Washington County public schools. North High would have a second track that is now in good condition that would remove liability, because that track, the shape that it's in now, is a liability issue. So we would remove that. It would be resurfaced. It would not cost the school district any money. We have found potential funding. The mayor of Hagerstown, Mayor Emily Keller, reached out to Dan Spedden, and Dan has found grants through the hotel rental funding grants, and he feels confident that we could have that, the cost of having the track resurfaced, covered. In the meantime, I did apply for the public-private partnership, as I was advised to do, and Jeff, again, walked me through it. It was amazing. He answered every question for me. And he walked me through the process. I've turned that application in, but I'm presenting to you guys because at the end of August, beginning of September, Craig Paving had a window opening that they could actually resurface the track if I can get approval, which has to obviously come from you and from the board member, the board itself. So yes, my application is in. I'm waiting for approval, and that's why I'm here tonight. I received the paperwork in May. I turned it in beginning of July. I know they're shorthanded at the board. I get it. I'm a business owner in the community. We have 2 family businesses. And we're willing to help jumpstart the project. Our family is willing to donate $10,000 of our business money to help fund the project if need be. Jeff also answered all my questions. One of the big things is how this is going to benefit Washington County Schools. 1, liability, removing the liability. You don't have to pay to have the track removed. We resurface the track for you and have that funding. So it's a safe place for students, because they use that field for lacrosse and they use it for practice for soccer. Okay, so kids have to go across that track that's deteriorated. That is an issue, especially when they're going across in cleats. So we could remove that liability. Also, when there's functions on the Mike Callis track, they have to remove people from that track from the public. This would give them an option to redirect that those people that are running or doing other activities. And we could also use it for other sports outside of traditional school sports. Not everybody plays ball. Not everybody is a sport that is school-related in terms of, playing after school and attending. So this would give students, especially our urban students, our at-risk kids, opportunities to be part of sports programs outside of school as well, because I could definitely do that for us. That is my goal eventually. You will see me probably more in the future because I have lots of great ideas that I'm going to bring to you about keeping our kids. So that being said, I'm looking for your permission and your approval. And just remember that we use facilities outside of, for tennis. North High tennis courts are being used. Junior League football uses some of our practice fields. Junior League basketball and volleyball uses our gymnasiums. So this would be the same as using those tracks. Okay, all right, thank you.
Wrap up. You can wrap up.
Okay, so it would be the same as using those facilities, but it would be outdoors, okay? So it would be an outdoor facility. And I also have someone who is here tonight to say that they would be willing to rent the track for events that would be covered by USA Roller Sports. And that track would be endorsed by USA Roller Sports, which would allow skating to be used on it as well. And with that comes all kinds of great insurance and coverage that way. And if we rent the track out, then we have a way of maintaining the track once that track is resurfaced. And again, it wouldn't cost anything. I just need your approval. And anybody that has worked with me usually knows that I'm usually that person that asks forgiveness and not permission, but I know it's really important that I have your support on this. And I think it could be a really win-win for all of us. And just another side note, Senator Paul Quarterman's office has also started a file about the track, so they are willing to help with funding and help find funding as well. So having community, both state and local. Okay, thank you for your time. And I will leave these here, but I made one up for each one of you. And that way it kind of has everything in there about budget, cost, funding, future funding.
Yeah, you
Okay.
can
Can I go ahead and bring it to
April,
you?
She'll pass it down.
All right, perfect.
I'll pass them down. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for the kind words about Mr. Prue. He is truly amazing, and I know he has your application for the public-private partnership, and we appreciate you coming and explaining more about your proposed project.
Please feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next person I have, and I hope I'm going to get the last name correct. Is it Mary Alamond? 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 Almond, okay. I was wrong on all counts. Almond, thank you.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Good evening.
Thanks for letting me speak. I appreciate it. My name is Mary Almond, and I've been a member of USA Roller Sport, which is a governing body of our sport, since 1965. I also am affiliated with Patty Leisure and her team. My husband helps coach there. And I am an event director. I put on events everywhere. And it's really hard to find a 400-meter track. Our athletes have to travel to Colombia most of the time to get on those tracks so they can train for the world championships and whatnot. And I also, I'm in full support of Patty's project, resurfacing the 400-meter track. It would be so helpful. I mean, for all these athletes to be able to have somewhere to train. And like Patty had mentioned, a lot of other disciplines, sport disciplines could get on there also. But it would be fantastic. And I am trying to start a 400-meter race series, which will go from April all the way through to November each year, which will accumulate a lot of money because we pay to rent the track each time we use it. And I think that's, and once the word gets out, there'll be other regions that'll want to rent this track. Southeast region is, I'm the president of the Southeast region of USA Roller Sports, so I mainly focus on our region first, which is, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, and North Carolina. But I put on meets and it draws up to 400 to 600 skaters every time I put on a meet. So every time we make our programs, that we would put an ad in there about the track and how they can rent it and cost and whatnot, and what an advantage it would be. So, but it would be truly, truly a great advantage to have that in our area. So we don't have to travel anymore.
Thank you.
To Columbia, to, wherever they have them, I'm not even sure. But majority, like there's a group over in Columbia right now training. If they knew that track was there, they would pay to rent that track. Train on it, have races on it, and, a lot of different things. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. I feel like I'm in
You're doing a
school.
great job.
I feel like I'm in school. Well, thank you so much for letting me speak, and I really appreciate it.
Yes,
And
thank you.
I hope you, ladies and gentlemen, you will agree to this. This is going to benefit a lot of skaters, and it's important. Our sport isn't like basketball and football and everything, but there are that many skaters around the world, in the country, especially the United States. There are a lot of skaters, and they need a place to train, and compete. And I'll make sure they get a lot of races there. because I'll be renting it a lot. Well, thank you so much. You have a great evening.
Thank you,
you.
Mrs. Almond. Okay, our next person is Kelsey Rogers. Did I get that name correct?
Yes,
All right. Good evening.
I'm a little nervous too, so.
Oh, don't be, don't be.
But my name is Kelsey Rogers. I'm a 2014 graduate of North Hagerstown High School. I would like to speak onto you about why I feel like it's important to resurface the old 400-meter running track. I'm a 10-time U.S. national team member for inline speed skating. I have represented the United States at the 22 World Games, the 2019 Pan American Games, and 10 World Championships. I have earned over 100 national titles and placements and was named as the 2019 U.S. OPC Olympic Athlete of the Year and also the 2019 USARS Athlete of the Year. Inline speed skating is considered a non-traditional urban sport. As a result, my sport was not offered at school. Although it has been an honor and privilege to represent my country, I am at most proud of the fact that I also represent Washington County when I compete. Since most of my competitions are held outside, it is very difficult to train. The only places for practices are on roads and parking lots. Therefore, it is important that the North High track can be resurfaced. Once resurfaced, the track would provide a safe place for myself and others to practice. As a child, I was considered at risk and was raised in a home below poverty threshold. I was a student who received free lunches, social services, made random visits to our home to check on me and my siblings. At times, attending school was difficult. I had low self-esteem and a poor self-image. Participating in speed skating changed all of this. It turned out that I was really good, and as a result, I became a national champion and qualified to represent Team USA and traveled the world. Skating allows me to see the world differently and inspired to want more from life. I have competed in 12 different countries. Without skating, I would have not had the opportunity to travel internationally and experience cultures other than my own. Not only did speed skating allow me to travel and meet people from different countries, but skating gave me the foundation to be successful in life. Participating in a sport that demands full focus and dedication has taught me how to set and achieve goals. The discipline learned from skating provided me the foundation to do better in other aspects of my life. The life lesson learned from me skating made me a better student and a person. I'm the product of Washington County Public Schools and proud to say I'm a success story. What I hope is that other WCPC students who started where I did and participated in skating will have a safe place to train and chase their dreams. It is important to all students of Washington County to have big dreams and have the support and achieve them. I ask you to consider approving the resurfacing of North High's 400-meter track so the next Kelsey Rogers has it a little easier to pursue her dreams. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey, for sharing your story with us. Thank you.
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you. And then I have some articles from the World Games that I was in for you guys to read.
Sure. Thank you. I'm in all of your
You so much.
outstanding accomplishments, just, wow. The next person I have on the list is Letitia Detra. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Hello, everyone. I am a deaf person who is also a skater athlete. And this is the first sport that I was able to participate on a world and national championship. I became the Olympic person for Colorado, and I also want to help and be a strong leader as a basketball player, and it's helped me to be more physically able to be a good athlete by skating. Also, when I win, I am the only deaf person skating with all the hearing competitors. And so I have made history by showing the world universally and showing the world that I can compete as a deaf person. And I've given more opportunity to be able to compete, so thank you.
Ms. Detro, thank you for sharing your story. Awesome. Wow. Piper Leisure. Good evening.
Good evening. Oh my, I'm sorry. Good evening, everyone. My name is Piper Leisure, and I'm a 14-year-old national champion inline speed skater. My family owns multiple businesses in the Washington County area, and I have grown up here. It has always been a dream of mine to have a place to train that isn't a parking lot or a neighborhood. It's very unsafe, and I'm always scared of getting hit by cars or chased by dogs. It's pretty crazy. And it would mean a lot to have the 400-meter track resurfaced. Obviously, a lot of my competition actually has 400-meter tracks to train on, and we don't, so it's a big advantage for them. And skating may not be a well-known sport, but it means a lot to me and the 40-plus kids we have on Fast Forward Racing, which is our team. And it will not only be safer to fix the track, but oh, wait, hold on, sorry. It's safer to fix the track because when people walk over the track, when they have to play like sports in the infield, such as like lacrosse and soccer, it's a big liability. And if you resurface the track, there'll be more like places for people to run and to do other sports, and that could be very good for the community. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you for letting me speak, guys.
Thank you, Ms. Leisure.
Thank you.
Appreciate hearing from you. Gary Castle? Did I get the last name correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, great. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Gary Castle. Can you hear me through the mic?
Uh-huh.
Okay. I'm an operations manager for Tractor Supply Distribution Center out of Hagerstown, Maryland. We do a lot for our community here in Hagerstown. I'm also the president of our local Fast Forward Speed team, which I'm very proud and honored to be. Emily Keller is not able to be here, is not able to attend tonight. On behalf of her, I would like to have the honor to read a letter that she has presented for me to read. Dear Washington County Board of Education, I would like to express my heartfelt support for the resurfacing of the old 400-meter running track at North Hagerstown High School, as proposed by Patricia Leisure. Patty is the coach of Fast Forward Racing, a local roller skating club that my daughter, Layla, was part of for many years. I have learned a lot about the roller skating world during this time and have seen firsthand and positive impacts on our youth. As you all are aware, the city of Hagerstown has a lot of young people who are in need of low-cost activities and adult mentorships. This would provide that much-needed opportunity for our youth. In addition to our youth, skating competitions have positive economical impacts on local economies, which is creating revenue for local businesses, filling hotel rooms, and bringing people to our city who may not have otherwise visited. I look forward to seeing this project come to completion and ask for your support as well. Sincerely, your Mayor, Emily Keller.
Thank you, Mr. Castle.
So, I don't have a script. I'm not a script guy. I kind of speak from my heart and what flows. So, a little bit about me, watch my time. I'm 54 years old, born and raised in Washington County, love it, Maryland. Wouldn't trade it for the world. Went to Boonesboro High, graduated. Went to Hagerstown Community College, graduated. actually going back now to get my second degree. Have a 12-year-old son that skates for Fast Forward as well. Unfortunately, he cannot be here tonight. I wish he could. But my point is, when I was growing up as a kid, we did have all these outdoor activities. We had basketball, baseball, lacrosse was coming into the thing, football, tennis, right? Flag football. We didn't really have speed skating, or not even to say speed skating, but rollerblading. So my point is, if we can resurface this track, everybody in this room sees, I know you've seen at least one or two skaters rollerblading down a sidewalk, right, with a backpack on and their headphones, right, on sidewalks, in parking lots, okay? This would just bring so much opportunity for those kids in our community to be safe, feel safe, and have a safe place to go to skate. And our kids as well on the team, so we don't have to go to parking lots. We go to the battlefield, Antietam Battlefield. We don't go there anymore because we're not allowed. We had too many kids in there. So this track really means a lot. It's near and dear to my heart, and I know it's near and dear to the team, and I know it would bring in some revenue for this county. There's lots of opportunities there, and I'm willing to do anything to help. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Katz.
Yes, ma'am.
Jean C. Keys. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. And thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Jean Carol Keys, and actually I'm reading a letter from a former student of Washington County Public School System. Him and his mother live in North Carolina, but they still have ties to the community. And the skating project at North Hagerstown High School is near and dear to their heart, too. It says, "Dear Washington County Public School System, my name is Isaiah Smith. I am 26 years old and was born and raised in Hagerstown, Maryland. Many people have come to know me by the things that I was able to accomplish on the football field throughout my childhood and throughout my undergrad years in college. I attended South Hagerstown High School, where I was a 3-time varsity football player and track and field indoor athlete, and then a 4-time track and field outdoor varsity athlete. I have several Washington County rushing and touchdown records and a single-season Maryland State rushing record. After my senior year in high school, I moved to play Division I football at the Cadell Military School of South Carolina, where I was able to help my team with 2 conference championships and get the furthest into the division playoffs that the university has ever had. What many people do not know is that neither football nor track was my first competitive sport. Inline speed skating was. I was first discovered by a family friend at Starland Skating Ring during a birthday party, where a future skating teammate's mother advised my mother to put me in a sport due to my natural abilities on 4-blade skates. At the ripe age of 5 years old, I had the pleasure of meeting the first person that I would ever call coach, Miss Patty, who I referred to as Miss Leisure or Coach Patty, and she happens to be one of my favorite and most impactful coaches of my entire athletic career. Isaiah goes on to say that he has lots of memories skating. He saw about 30 or 40 people zoom past him, and he thought that it was a great opportunity. He said he skated until he was 10 years old. Skating sometimes made him feel good. It gave him the confidence that he needed. However, when he got comfortable on those inline speed skates, the skating ring was the happiest place in the world for him. He said he was taken out of the sport at 10 to participate in a more traditional sport. During my 4-year tender with Fast Forward Racing, I became national championship relay team. One of my former teammates, Kelsey Hellman, still participates in the sport and represents our country every year at the World Championship meet. To piggyback, his mother, Daphne, she is a homegrown local of Washington County. She no longer lives here, but she has a business at the Hagerstown Community College Incubator, which has been here now for 7 years. And she was born and raised here. And she said, as she illustrated, her son's background and confidence it helped him to achieve many things in life. She said, being a single mother, it was oftentimes difficult to allow her son the opportunity to participate as the practices were at the time in Greencastle outside of the community. When Patty approached me about supporting her incentive for the bank track at North Hagerstown High School, it was a no-brainer. This is a non-traditional sport within the community, as this will allow more youth in Washington County accessibility into skating, which will prove to be beneficial to the development of children and youth that don't participate in non-traditional sports. Finally, the addition to the bank track will allow for outdoor skate meetings and national events to be held in Hagerstown, which will bring travelers into the community, resulting in the boost of the economy. We are hopeful that our positive experience will assist in the overall decision-making process to endure an outdoor skate track. Inline speed skating is a phenomenal sport, with the incentive being led by a phenomenal woman, passionate about her community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Keys, and thank you for bringing the words of Isaiah and his mother to us. Thank you very much. That's the end of the list of those who have signed up in advance. At this time, we'll open the floor to anyone who would like to come forward to speak.
We don't have a special guest, I noticed.
Okay, I've just been informed that we have a special guest
But she's
here.
leaving.
But she's leaving, okay. Well, we had with us for some time, Council Member Takesha Martinez, but she has departed, so I'm sorry you weren't able to recognize her,
Sure she
Mr.
would
Bishop.
notice.
Okay, so at this time, the floor is open to anyone who would like to come forward to speak during public comment. Do we have anyone?
Are you going to be skating?
Good evening, Mr. Lowen.
True story. I tried to speed skate in 2019 and broke my wrist.
Oh.
Yeah. So, no, I will not be skating. I'll leave it to the professionals. My name is Ethan Lowen, and I just wanted to say that I attended one of the community listening sessions that Dr. Sovine and his staff did at North High, and I think it was actually quite phenomenal. He answered the difficult questions. He gave real answers. And I think that with the 3 remaining listening sessions that are going to be occurring between this week and next week, I think it's important for everyone who can possibly make it to show up. Because even if you don't have anything to say, you don't have any particular questions, just your presence truly does make the schools better. So I just wanted to point that out and say thank you. So keep up the great work. Maybe we can do it every year. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowen. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? That was very nice. Good evening.
Great. Hope everyone is doing great this evening. I would like to thank all of you for allowing me and my team to come up here and present these ideas to all of you. My name is Erica Orndorff. I am a former Washington County Public Schools student. I've been fortunate enough to have many opportunities through Washington County. I've been skating for about 12 years now. I have made the 2018 Junior World Team and the 2021 Junior Pan Am team. As far as facilities go, I have been to many parking lots and have been kicked out of majority of them, which is quite sad if you think about it, because we're just kids trying to better ourselves and honestly better our community. And I'm sure as many of you know now from hearing from all of us this evening is there's a lot of kids coming out of Hagerstown, Washington County. We have put our city on the map. I mean, when you go to a national event or if you look up past world team members, world championships, I mean, a lot of kids come from this this county. And how great of a pleasure is it to have a facility of which we can have something that's safe in ours. And I mean, I'm honestly very happy to present this idea to you all and especially bring revenue to our community. I think more now than ever, our community deserves something like this. And I think it deserves something that we can be proud of and we can yell from the rooftops. That being said, thank you all for your time and thank you for considering this idea.
Thank you, Ms. Orndorff.
Thank
you
you.
very much. Is there anyone else? Anyone else? Last call. Okay, we'll move to board member response to public comment. Colleagues?
Yeah, is it possible to
Excuse
set up?
me, I saw
Oh, sorry,
Dr.
go ahead.
Zetmeyer's hand
She
and
beat me.
Mr. Gesford's, and then we'll get to you.
Oh.
Thank you, Patty, for coming and for the support of your students. And I'd like to also add thank you for the service that you've given our county in science as well. The passion you saw here tonight, I was a firsthand witness to at North High. And she moved to Able, but the years that you spent there, you infused the same enthusiasm for your subject as you have with your skaters. Thank you so much.
Mr. Gesford?
I just have a couple questions. I'm not sure if anyone can answer this. Is there a competition season?
For outdoors, that competition season would run, for us locally, because we're seasonal, would be probably start in March and run through definitely October, depending on what November would look like weather-wise. And, it really has to do with our temperature, but we definitely could go. Okay, so our competition season for outdoors would run mid-March to definitely the end of October. So we could get, and the really nice thing would be at least an event once a month. And I also I looked at 3 different places in the United States, Tampa, Rock Hill, South Carolina, and what was the other one? Tampa, South Carolina. There's one more there as well. But there's 3 different places that I've got what they rent their track, Waco, Texas, what they rent their tracks for. So the local school districts, they rent out the tracks. But yeah, it would be, and then the really nice thing would be we could do like Maryland State games.
So that was another question.
Yep.
So what days are competition days?
Weekends, so it doesn't
So
interfere.
is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday,
We could
Sunday?
do Saturday, Sunday, so we don't interfere with the school, the functioning of school, so. yeah.
And a final question. How many participants and spectators come to these events?
It can vary.
Roughly.
Okay, so if we do something local, you're probably looking around 200. That's including everybody. If we do something regional, we're probably looking 300 plus. Maybe, I'd say 300 to 500. We've had, just indoors, we've had as many as 350 at my facility over on Virginia Avenue, Turner Skate Palace.
So do they actually camp?
No, we don't camp.
Okay, I mean, there's events
No.
like they'll bring a camper and sit there and they'll,
Well,
for the
we
whole
have
weekend.
done that. If they
Okay.
allow us to dry camp in the parking lot, yes, people bring their RVs or their campers. And, but that is, the facility can say yes or no, and if the facility says no, we just camp elsewhere. There's Walmart, there's my skating rink, there's plenty of other places to take the campers and.
Right.
So,
I
yeah.
just didn't know if there was an expectation that there would be a crowd of
Not at
campers
all.
coming in.
It would be we usually come in around 7 in the morning, and we're usually done by 5 or 6. Very rarely do we, it depends on how large the competition is. If we do an international event, you could have as many as 500, and you would probably run 7 in the morning to probably dusk. And so on Saturday and Sunday.
And so with the money that you're asking, how much do you have raised so far?
I have 10,000 and I think it's $73,000 is what we need to come up with. Dan Spedden said as soon as you guys give approval, see, this is my catch-22. I can't apply for the grant until you guys approve the the public-private partnership. Once that's approved, and I have that in writing, Dan will help me with the application to go and apply for that hotel tax funds grant. And again, I'm not asking for you to find the funding. That will be my job. And I would be the person to make sure we find the funding so that we can move forward.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there any other questions?
Yeah, well, I'd just like to see if we could set up an indoor track right now and hold a race. But, no, I am personally in favor of this. Everything sounds great, especially when you start talking about, business. I love the idea of generating good revenue for, the community. It's a great idea. I also wonder if, I'm not exactly sure how much that field, the infield, if you will, is used by the school system now for practices or games or anything like that. I also wonder if it might be more appropriate to maybe, and this is just me talking off the top of my head, and I think probably be more appropriate to have a discussion with leadership about it, if it'd be appropriate to set up a lease with the county or city recs department so that they could do it, because obviously we're here for educating the kids. If the goal of that is going to be for you, which again I'm in support of, I wonder if it'd be more appropriate to have city parks or county parks do that, Parks and Rec to kind of do that, which I'd also be in favor of. If they're not interested, I'm still interested in learning a little more about how we can do it. But I think there are some discussions that I do think that we should have. So I appreciate you coming in.
I
And
understand that.
yeah.
So, and I get it, but I will ask you to think about this. You rent the planetarium out to the public. There, you rent out your gymnasiums to local youth organizations. This would be the same thing. And resurfacing that track, again, that is only going to benefit North High. Also, think about the positive public, how positive that would be in the community if the school district is giving back to kids that are not traditional sports.
Right.
Just something to think about.
Exactly, and
So-
I agree. Yeah.
And I
Thank you.
have looked up how much it's going to cost to do a whole brand-new 400-meter track. And that $73,000 is minor compared to doing it from scratch. So,
Tell me again where you came up with the 73,000. Was that a Craig Paving quote or?
Greg Paving, I spoke to the owner personally twice. I had in-depth conversations because I thought, I was like, okay, so what, I asked a lot of questions about permits and about cleanup, and he says, no, that's turnkey. So that's Craig Paving. We need to have the track striped. I reached out to a couple different striping companies. The gentleman I was able to talk to was from Georgia, and and because you don't need to do the full track striping, you just need the lanes. He would be willing to come up for $7,000. I did try to reach out to the company from Baltimore that did North High's track before, the track that, the Mike Callis. They did not return a phone call. So the guy from from Georgia was $7,000, and a local gentleman too came back around that price. The weeding of the track first before they can tear up and put down the new asphalt was a local company as well. So all but the striping company would be local companies that would that I reached out to that returned phone calls and entertained and gave me actual quotes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'll make comments too now. I love the idea, and I was just writing down all of the different sports that, other than the traditional sports that we've had, in our community for years. But right now, that means we have a parkour site at the fairgrounds. I believe they're closer to doing the skater park, right? The skateboard park. We've got a BMX, and now speed skating. So I just love the idea, and then we're getting the stadium built. So I love the idea that there's all this choice now in Hagerstown for kids.
And I will tell you that with the building of the sports, where the old stadium was, There are travel floors for skating. This is the really cool thing. And they bring those travel floors in. You could hold the national championships here. We could, the city of Hagerstown, Washington County itself could bid for a national championship and have that here. We could even bid for, this sounds really far-fetched, but it's not, World Roller Games. We have the hockey at the fairgrounds. You now are going to have a place for the aggressive skating and the skateboarding. You have 2 rinks here in Hagerstown indoor facilities, and then you'll have the new stadium when they finish that project. All of those collectively can house almost all the roller sports and actually have a huge event here, and we could showcase our town as well. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Mrs. Murray.
I just want to thank Mrs. Leisure. Thank you so much for this booklet of all the information. Thank you to everybody that came out. I want to shout out to the Luther family because I follow their skating on Facebook. We've been friends for a very long time. I've known Holly since she was a little girl, and I know her daughter skates and does very well. So thank you all for being here. This is a wonderful project, and I hope we can work together.
And real quick, I'm sorry, just let me add one more thing. My goal is to work with kids that are at risk, that are in our school district. Even when I retire, it's not going to stop. Like, my goal is to keep these kids focused and keep them make sure what we learn in competition and at practice carries over into the classroom, and it does. And I brought examples of that with me tonight. So, every kid matters, and I want to make sure that when I retire that I'm still involved. And this is one way that I can give back to my community. So, thank you. That's it.
Colleagues, we'll move to old business. Our first action item this evening is the second reading of proposed changes to policy BD, types and notifications of meetings. And we have Mrs. Ram presenting.
Good evening, President Williams, Dr. Savine, members of the board. The Board of Education approved the first reading of proposed changes to policy BD at its public business meeting on August 2nd, 2022. Following that meeting, the Policy Committee placed a public notice on board docs and the school system's website seeking comments on the proposed changes. The committee has not received any comments. The committee agreed at its public work session on August 9th, 2022, to add a reference in the policy to the Washington County Board of Education operating norms and the Washington County Board of Education communication processes. The committee is now recommending the board approve the second reading of proposed changes to policy BD.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move to approve the second reading of proposed changes to policy BD entitled Types and Notification of Meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Any questions? Any discussion? No? Okay, then we'll move to the vote. We're voting to approve the second reading of proposed changes to policy BD entitled Types and Notification of Meeting. All in favor? Okay. 6 affirmative, and the student member concurs. Okay, we'll move to our second action item, and that is the second reading of proposed changes to policy AC, non-discrimination statement.
The Board of Education approved the first reading of proposed changes to policy AC at its public business meeting on August 2nd, 2022. Following that meeting, the Policy Committee placed a public notice on board docs and the school system's website seeking comments on the proposed changes. The committee has not received any comments and is now recommending the board approve the second reading of proposed changes to policy AC.
Thank you, Mrs. Ram. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move to approve the second reading of proposed changes to policy AC entitled Non-Discrimination Statements.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Any questions? Any discussion? No? Then we'll move to the vote. We're voting to approve the second reading of proposed changes to policy AC entitled Non-Discrimination Statement. All those in favor? Okay, we have 6 affirmative. Student member concurs. Thank you, Mrs. Ram. We'll move now to new business. And our first item is this evening's consent agenda. We have Mr. Prue presenting this evening. Is Mr. Bakel on vacation?
Mr. Victor is away this week.
All right.
So you're stuck with me. So we got the B team. We're going to get us through this tonight. Thank you, Mrs. Williams, members of the board, Dr. Michael. We have 5 procurements for you this evening. The Procurement Review Committee has reviewed and is recommending these items for your approval. I and other staff members are here if you have any questions that we can answer for you.
Thank you, Mr. Prue. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move to approve the awards, renewals, and purchases for M-Class, is it Dibbles? Dibbles Assessment System renewal to Amplify Education, Inc. at a cost of $64,814.99. Board Certified Behavior Analyst to Maryland Behavioral Consulting, DBA, Applied ABC at the unit prices listed. Legal services to Carney, Callahan, Bresler, Bennett, and Shure LLP at the unit prices listed. Heating oil supply and delivery to AC&T Company, Inc. for transport deliveries at the bid factor of 0.1395 cents, I guess, per gallon, plus the weekly Opus wholesale price per gallon, and tank wagon deliveries at the bid factor of 0.2395 cents per gallon, plus the weekly Opus wholesale price per gallon. Career Technology Education Department computers to CDWG LLC at a cost of $80,920, and to Apple Inc. at a cost of $89,519.
Is there a second to Mr. Bickford's motion? Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Any questions for Mr. Prue, excuse me, Mr. Prue, or any discussion? Yes, Mr.
I
Evans.
thought we were doing away with all Apple products. Is that incorrect, I guess?
So in the classroom, we're moving away from one-to-one devices from iPads to Chromebooks.
Okay.
Here in these specific devices, which are more along the lines of iMacs, that are more specific program-related uses, more along the graphic design focus, that's the primary model of computer that we use in industry, so we're procuring those items for students so they get that industry experience right in the classroom.
Excellent. So I'm not against that, but and I'm not necessarily against anything here, but we're just spending so much money on all these computers and all these, one-to-one devices. Is there still a need then, if we're doing stuff like this, is there still a need for every single student in the county to each have their own device? Because this is an awful lot of money that we spend on these devices, and I just wonder if there's still a need for that, given that, obviously over 2020, 2021, we've needed it. How much is that need still there?
I think it's there, but I see my friend from curriculum coming up here next to me, so I think I'm going to defer to Dr. Willow.
Well, and I think, Mr. Evans, that's a really good point. We come up once a year for CTE programs, and if you remember, we did it last December. This is the CTE program request for the year. It's like textbooks. We look every year at updating a few programs. The computers that we're replacing tonight are actually 10 years old. So they've gotten a very good life value to them. But when you get into CTE, and Mr. Prue alluded to it earlier, it's very important that our CTE replicate what is in the industry. And so for each of the different CTE programs, the 40 different programs we have, the Chromebook is just not the answer for some of those. And so while we don't go one-to-one here, we look at one lab that can impact hundreds of students, really thousands when you think over a 10-year period, and a different student coming every year. What's nice is, I know we came not too long ago and we did middle school replacement, but these are all grants. And other than a small CTE purchase that we're using for maintenance of effort, what we're really doing here is taking advantage of Perkins funding, which is set aside specifically to update our CTE programs. So I think it's important for the public to also know that these purchases are really specifically grant funded, and it's not actually impacting our general budget.
And like I said, I'm not against the specific purchase of these these devices. I'm just more, I guess, questioning the overall need for the one-to-one devices. Is that need still there?
I think so, because, if we were buying these one-to-one and they could actually pick them up and take them to the next classroom, but what you're saying is that, one set would, potentially impact 8 different classes a day, but, you still need your Chromebook to be able to take the math class, English class, science class, social studies class. If we were looking at a model where we were funding this as that one-to-one device that a student could take home, but that would actually cost us more money because truthfully, the Chromebook is a much more cost-efficient than some of these specialty devices.
Right.
If we were buying these in larger number, I would wholeheartedly agree it would be a waste to buy both. But because their use is so set specifically just for the one classroom, you have to have the other device that the students can then use in the other classrooms.
Dr. Setmar?
So at some point in time, grant funding will supply computers, these type of computers to the other 5 high schools?
Yeah, so again, we look at it specifically on a year-to-year. This year, if you remember back in the program of studies, you approved a new program at Smithsburg High School. So this is new because we brought the audio-visual communication program to Smithsburg High School as part of the program of studies. The other ones are replacement. Last year, we looked, I think we did for South, a different program, Williamsport, North, and we updated Clear Spring as well. We've updated, not just with technology, but equipment purchases. We bought new equipment for Hancock earlier. So we look at it just like we do textbooks. We live in a very tight budget where we live mainly through grants, which is good because we're good stewards of our resources. But when you are going through grants that are recurring, you've really got to have a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year plan. And what's nice with CTE purchases and Perkins is that's yearly. It's not a one-time thing that we end up having to pay, for 5 years from now when they all need to be replaced. We can plan it out that, again, if we're efficient and we're smart and we think forward, we can continue to maintain these and continue to offer the great programming, not just at Tech High, but all of the high schools across the county and now backwards into our middle schools.
On a different note, on the bid for the accountant, I noticed there's other services not listed of council. Do you know what that would have been?
Which bid are you referring to?
The it's the second bid, I can't even pronounce it.
The board certified behavior analyst?
No, I'm sorry, the accountant, the attorneys, accountant.
The legal services?
Legal services, yeah.
Okay.
Do you know what that is for the $300? Nobody else has it. There's 4 bids.
My other friend.
They're the only one that has, it says, other services not listed of council, $300, and I was just wondering what that would have been.
Right, so that's the rate for attorneys listed as of counsel. You'll see sometimes an attorney, well, maybe not, but some attorneys are listed as of counsel, and they have different rates. And the other services, it's missing punctuation, comma, it's the rate for an attorney who's listed as of counsel.
So why would the other ones not have that?
They may not be offering their attorneys that are of counsel as part of their
Part of the
services.
package?
Correct.
Okay, because I noticed that they're cheaper if you take that 300 out versus the first one there which one we chose,
Well,
which is a little higher.
Yeah, let me just pull that.
But if we're not using the other of counsel,
Well, the other reason, although less expensive, they do not have any public sector or school district experience. And part of our request was they have at least 5 years of experience. So although on paper it would seem like they may be less, they don't have the necessary experience to fully represent the school district interests. And it would be, you don't want to spend taxpayer dollars that way. You want to make certain we're getting the appropriate coverage as necessary.
okay.
Any other questions? Yes, Ms. Scruggs.
To go back to the computers, so are you saying that we're going to be moving away from computer labs if all of us are getting one-on-one devices, or like are only certain programs available like in our Mac labs?
No, I think you'll actually, if you look at North High, for example, while we're making the purchase specifically for computer science, we see foundations of technology being able to use it and other programs. I think there'll always be a need for labs. Some labs are going more, instead of seeing the traditional hardwired lab, you might see laptop carts that are MacBook Airs or Pros, because that's more of the industry standard. Again, what's nice about our programs with CTE is that we have what we call PACs, or groups of businesses in the community that work with our teachers on what are those industry standards, what is being used when you enter this field. And then again, due to grants, we're able to replicate that so that our high school students are best prepared when they graduate. Thank you.
Dr. Zenmeyer?
On the board certified behavior analyst, is it really less expensive to use a contractor than, for $140,000, couldn't we get a full-time person at Bester?
Maybe yes, maybe no. I think this procurement has a cap on the number of hours.
25.
So if you were to consider that, that this position would be full-time, let's say, our board certified behavior analysts are 260-day, 7.5-hour employees. If you were to average that times this hourly rate, absolutely hiring a full-time person would be cheaper. So I think two things. One, what we're contracting for is not a full-time person. Second is that BCBAs are hard to come by. So there are times when you just have to go to a contract service because it's really just not that easy to hire a BCBA. So this kind of fits two boats where we can get the services we need when we need them. They can coordinate that specifically with the principal to work with students that are of need of those services in our concentration of poverty schools.
I know that we had it at Bester for a while last year. Were we able to identify the successes of that program?
I believe that answer is yes. They're providing a support to the classroom teacher on working with behaviors of some of our most difficult students.
Any other questions? Ready to move to the vote then? We're voting to approve this evening's consent agenda as read by Mr. Bickford and seconded by Mrs. Murray. All those in favor? Okay, we have 6 affirmative and the student member concurs. We have an approved consent agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our second item under new business is the first reading of proposed changes to policy JGA, discipline for out-of-school conduct. Mrs. Rand?
The Policy Committee reviewed Policy JGA at its public work session on August 9th, 2022, and offered changes to the policy which have not been reviewed in several years. I believe it hasn't been reviewed since 2001. There have been numerous changes to the law. The changes being recommended include formatting and updating the policy to include definitions. Also, state law has been updated since the policy was last reviewed, and now sets forth that the superintendent is to be notified for a student's offense that is related to their membership in a criminal gang. The committee is recommending policy JGA be updated accordingly. Lastly, the committee is recommending language be added to the policy that allows for the superintendent to promulgate an administrative regulation to implement this policy consistent with our other policies that we have reformatted. The committee is recommending the Board of Education approve the first reading of the proposed changes to policy JGA.
Thank you, Mrs. Rand. Is there a motion?
To approve the first reading of proposed changes to policy JGA entitled Discipline for Out-of-School Conduct.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Any questions? Any discussion?
Yeah, so it seems like this, first, correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like the only way we find out about these incidents is if the police, the local authorities happen to notify us.
Mostly, yes.
So it also seems like it's only if it's gang-related.
No, that's not accurate. It's reportable offenses or gang-related. It's an
okay.
or, yep.
Okay. I thought it was kind of saying that they had to be, okay, so then I'm fine then.
Yeah, that question did come up as well in policy committee. It's the way the statute is worded. We tried to clean it up while staying consistent with how the law is written.
Okay.
Vote. We're voting to approve the first reading of proposed changes to policy JGA entitled Discipline for Out-of-School Conduct. All those in favor? Okay, we have 6 affirmative votes. Student member concurs. We have an approved first reading. Our next action item is a request from the Boosters Club of, the Athletic Boosters Club from Smithsburg High School with Mr. Prue presenting.
Thank you again, Mrs. Williams. As a matter of background, the board may recall that in January of 2021, you approved a naming rights agreement to support the funding process for the public-private partnership that you entered into with the Smithsburg Athletic Booster Club for several projects at the stadium at Smithsburg High. Phase 1 includes resurfacing the football field with synthetic turf, widening the track, upgrading some lighting, and a number of other stadium improvements. Phase 2, team rooms, concession stand, restrooms, and then there's other potential phases down the line. Tonight, I bring forward to you 2 naming rights for your consideration, the naming of the concession stand and the naming of the press box. You have sample mock-ups of what signage might look like for those facilities, and I think it's worth noting that the value on these has increased from the original offer, the original naming rights agreement that you put forward, and the vendor is being very supportive of the Smithsburg Booster Club. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may further have.
Move to approve the naming rights as requested by the Smithsburg High School Athletic Booster Club.
Thank you, Mr. Bedford. Is there a second? Thank you, Dr. Detmeyer. Do we have any questions for Mr. Prue? Any discussion? We'll move to the vote. We're voting to approve the naming rights as requested by Smithsburg High School's Athletic Booster Club. All those in favor? All right, we have 6 affirmative votes and the student member concurs, so we have an approval.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Williams, I just would like to thank the Fulton family for being good partners in the community across Washington County, not just with the school, but they partner with many entities and support their staff heavily with their staff scholarships for their staff alone. So they devote a lot of time and money to the community. So thank AC&T, the Fulton family, for continuing their support at Washington County Public School Systems.
Will they be serving fried chicken at the games now?
Concession stand?
Good chicken.
It is good chicken. All right, that concludes our new business. We'll move to the superintendent's report. Dr. Sovine?
Yes, President Williams, members of the board, I want to welcome Mr. Scott Berman, who is our content specialist for high school social studies. Also joining him this evening is Ms. Lauren Meredith, who is a teacher at South Hagerstown High School. Lauren was recently named the 2022 Maryland History Teacher of the Year by the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. Lauren is another great example of the fantastic teachers we have here in Washington County. We're very proud of her accomplishments and look forward to celebrating her tonight. At this time, I want to turn it over to Mr. Berman, who will share a few words, and after his comments, I would like to invite our board members to join us in front of the dais for a group photograph.
Good evening, Dr. Sovine and members of the board. Lauren Meredith is an instructor at South Hagerstown High School, and she has been named the 2022 State History Teacher of the Year, an award presented annually by the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History, the nation's leading organization dedicated to K-12 American history education. The Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History was founded in 1984. by Richard Gilder and Louis E. Lerman, visionaries and lifelong supporters of American history education. The Institute is the leading nonprofit organization dedicated to K-12 history education while also serving the general public. Its mission is to promote the knowledge and understanding of American history through educational programs and resources. Inaugurated in 2004, the History Teacher of the Year Award highlights the crucial importance of history education by honoring exceptional American history teachers from elementary school through high school. The award honors one K-12 teacher from each state, the District of Columbia, Department of Defense schools, and U.S. territories. Lauren Merith graduated from Elizabethtown College in 2014. She joined WCPS in 2015, first teaching at Western Heights Middle School. Since 2019, she's been an instructor at South Hagerstown High School. Currently, she is the South Hagerstown High School department leader. In addition to her normal regular teaching duties, she helps write curriculum for WCPS and presents at school and district meetings. And most importantly, she is regarded by her peers as a model teacher. Lauren is currently enrolled in a graduate program with Gilder Lerman. She will receive her master's degree in American history from Gettysburg College next year. In addition to the $1,000 honorarium, Lauren receives a core archive of American history books and Gilder Lerman education materials, becoming one of the 53 finalists for the 2022 National History Teacher of the Year Award. Please join me in congratulating Lauren.
I did. I'm going to this one this year.
Oh, okay, got it.
But I had Miss Meredith as my teacher.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Lauren. You make us so proud.
Yep. Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3. Last one. 1, 2, 3. Looking good. Thanks, everybody.
Congratulations.
Once again, congratulations. Quite an accomplishment there. And now as we transition at this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Gary Willow, who's our Associate Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction. Joining him is Mrs. Amy Seiler, who is our Supervisor of Math and Science. They're here tonight to share an overview of how financial literacy standards are woven into our curriculum as early as elementary school and certainly throughout middle and high school. At this time, I'll turn it over to Dr. Willow.
Good evening, Dr. Savine, President Williams, members of the board. We picked this topic because we feel very strongly as a school system that financial literacy is one of those standards and components that students continue to use throughout life. And in the 2+ years now that I've been in this role, one of the things that I think there's a little bit of a misunderstanding of what we actually do with financial literacy. And I think opportunities like presenting here at the board meeting better inform our stakeholders, our public that are watching, what exactly financial literacy looks like, as Dr. Savine said, starting at elementary school all the way up through high school. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Seiler to talk a little bit about elementary and middle school financial literacy.
Good evening. So as you see here on the slide, we are provided from the state of Maryland with financial literacy standards. There are 6 overarching standards that you can see here. Within those 6 overarching standards, there are, I'm going to call them substandards, that are by grade band. And those substandards will go for elementary, middle school, and then again by the end of high school, where we will integrate those financial literacy standards into our curriculum. And as you can imagine, those substandards become more sophisticated over time, right, based on the age of the students. And what we really look to do is we look to integrate those financial literacy standards very naturally into our curriculum within the content areas that make where they fit most naturally. And so although I am here as one of the supervisors for math and science, as some of the financial literacy standards do make most sense to fit into especially mathematics, we work collaboratively with our health supervisor, with our humanities supervisor, because there are other natural fits in those areas as well. So as an example, as you can see here are some of the topics covered by way of financial literacy in our elementary schools up through 5th grade and as early as pre-K and K. It so happens that the vast majority of these concepts are covered by way of naturally integrated into our elementary social studies standards. As an example there on your screen, the second bullet speaks to needs and wants, and that's something that teachers work with students on as early as pre-kindergarten and kindergarten. Another example there, the first bullet, personal characteristics and interests and how they affect our career decisions. I have a sample here of a grade 3 experience that's in our essential curriculum in our social studies curriculum that works with students on creating their own Maryland business. So, thinking about my strengths and characteristics as a student and what might be a business for me, talking about goods and services, as well as it starts to speak there to the different regions of Maryland and why you might start different businesses based on the regions of Maryland and the resources available there. So that's just one of many examples and how those are integrated in elementary. In our middle schools, the vast majority are integrated by way of grades 6th, 7th, and 8th mathematics. But as you can also see on the screen, they are the financial literacy standards, economic impacts of our financial decisions, as well as taxation. Fits very naturally into the social studies, again, in the middle school level. Math topics that you see here, just as one example, there are quite a few here at the middle school level when you talk about credit cards, loans, interest rates, discount, sales tax, markup, which is the better buy. All of those things have a lot to do with ratios, rates, proportions, and percents, all of which falls into our 7th grade math curriculum, as an example. And so here on the screen, I've just provided a piece of an experience that our 7th grade students have in math class, where they're provided with a scenario where they are a college student needing to put about $100 a month onto a credit card, and they fill out the table that's here. They work to fill that out to see what it looks like when I start to pay off my credit card, maybe $5 at a time. What does it look like with the interest rate? What does that do over time? And they have some really great conversations and discussions, all very real-world applicable things, and they're doing math at the same time.
So in high school, there's actually 3 different opportunities. And the first opportunity is actually a health class. And some might wonder, why do we have financial literacy in health class? Well, as you may recall, we have always had health, the equivalent of 1 credit. And most of the state, it's only a half of a credit until recently. The reason that we've been 1 credit is because we've always had a financial literacy component built into our health class, and that's how we justified it as 1 credit. Recently, all of the state has gone to a year-long health class, as we've talked about before, and we've been able to keep financial literacy by including that in our year-long class as well. So what do we do in those classes when we talk about financial literacy and health? You can read, I'm not going to read all these to you. One that I might highlight that I've watched a couple of times as a principal is the budgeting activity. I know that was a very popular one at Smithsburg where students actually pick a career. They learn about what the weekly take-home pay is after taxes and after benefits, and then they actually have to create a budget based on housing, food, transportation, and you can quickly get a sense of the importance of budgeting monthly and what that actually means, what you know, your gross versus your net pay. And I think that's an eye-opening activity. I think in 10th grade, sometimes it's you know, where they're starting to get jobs, it hits them a little bit, but with many of these skills, you know, we're laying the foundation so that when they go and they purchase their first car, or they buy their first house, or they open their credit card account, they have that background knowledge. I don't think you ever actually fully understand it and know it until you do it, but I think by applying background knowledge, we're helping to better educate our students to the advantages and potential pitfalls that come with some of these decisions. So that's our health class, and what's nice about that is health is required for all students. So regardless, all of our students have access to these standards. The next opportunity is actually in 10th grade American government. Now, some of us might consider, especially those with social studies backgrounds, that these are more economic standards, but it does tie into financial literacy. We will get into activities around the budget and how government takes in money and then how it also spends. So, I mean, just those simple ideas, again, tie nicely into the government course, especially as we get into the different types of markets. Again, traditional social studies, but again, an important financial literacy component of understanding how our government works with spending and collecting revenue. And then the last one that might cause some confusion is actually financial literacy, the course. Now this, up to this point, every student has had access in elementary, middle, health, and American government. Financial literacy is a half-year course that students can choose to take. It is a math credit that will count toward graduation. It does not count toward a University of Maryland completer because University of Maryland completers require Algebra 2 and higher, and financial literacy doesn't have those Algebra 2 or higher components to it. But we have a number of students that take advantage of this course every year as their fourth math. And again, you're getting into income tax forms. It's really a nice course, I think, for seniors, and we do have some juniors that take it because now in 10th grade, I might be starting to look for that career. 12th grade, I mean, you could be taking this your second semester of your senior year where you're getting ready to graduate. You are looking to buy a car. You may be potentially looking to move out. And I think it connects nicely to what we start in health class and then continue through. And because Mrs. Seiler did a great job sharing experiences, you know, we pulled in some of the high school sample experiences, how we look at car reviews, you know, practicing with TurboTax, the actual simulation software that you have the ability to practice filing your taxes. So there are some really cool things that I think that students can see the real world connection, but then actually use throughout life. And we are always looking at financial literacy. Every year we have a conversation. Every couple of years we do update because this, again, is an important topic. And so we do want to make sure that the community understands that financial literacy is important and that we do have these components built into our curriculum. And we thank you for the opportunity to allow us to present tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Willow and Mrs. Seiler. Very excited to hear how this is interwoven into our curriculum. Certainly these are important skills that all of our students need to know to be successful in life, so thank you.
Thank you.
Now continuing on to the superintendent's update, I have a few updates that I'd like to share this evening. I want to first thank all of our stakeholders who submitted feedback on the reopening plan. feedback was received demonstrates that our plan supports the needs of our community. The draft plan is in our WCPS website and has been submitted to the Maryland State Department of Education for approval. Also like to mention that the Summer Summit is happening this week. I want to take a moment to thank all of our teachers, our administrators, and ESP staff for participating. It's quite remarkable to consider that at this point we have nearly 1,200 staff members registered to come back to school, actually a week early before they're scheduled to be here, kind of establish a jump start for the 22-23 school year. Just kind of demonstrates the dedicated teachers and staff that we have, and have the pleasure later on this week of engaging virtually with those 1,200 staff members that are in this week, a week before they're to report, to get a jump start on this school year. Certainly our students will benefit from that professional learning experience. Also, speaking of the new school year, we have an important s'more that we'll share with families this Wednesday on August the 17th. The s'more will contain important back-to-school information. Parents, please be on the lookout. Once again, this is coming out on on Wednesday, August the 17th. In addition, I want to share that middle and high school student schedules will go live on Parent View and Student View this Thursday, August the 18th at 4 p.m. As we prepare to welcome students and all staff back, I want to take a moment to recognize our staff for all their hard work this summer. Instead of me sharing their accomplishments in words, I thought it would be most appropriate to hear from our experts.
Did you know that gonna set up school all summer? My custodian cleaned the whole building, even under the bookcases.
My teachers taught me fun summer camp stuff.
Our cook makes pizza all summer long.
Our school secretary is making sure my friends are registered for next year.
Our principal was here every day making sure we had school supplies for this year. Did you know that gonna set up school all summer? My custodian cleaned the whole building, even under the bookcases.
My teachers taught me fun summer camp stuff.
Our cook makes pizza all summer long.
Our school secretary is making sure my friends are registered for next year.
Our principal was here every day making sure we had school supplies for this year.
We are so grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do thank our staff members. As I reported the last meeting, just great participation in our summer camps, and we're excited to jumpstart this school year. And I just want to extend my appreciation to our teachers, administrators, and all staff members that have made this just a very powerful summer learning experience. So thank you, President Williams, members of the board. That concludes my report. I remain open for any comments or questions.
Thank you, Dr. Savine. Okay, colleagues, any questions, comments for Dr. Savine regarding his update? Okay, we'll move then to our personnel action for this evening. We have Mrs. Ram presenting.
Good evening. As discussed earlier in closed session, I respectfully request that the board approve the personnel actions.
Thank you, Mrs. Ram. Is there a motion?
President Williams, I move to approve the personnel actions dated Tuesday, August 16th, 2022, as presented in the closed session.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Zedmeyer. We'll move to the vote. We're voting to approve personnel actions dated Tuesday, August 16th, 2022, as presented in closed session. All those in favor? All right. Thank you. We have 5 affirmative, and the motion carries. So we have approved personnel actions.
Thank you, President Williams. If I may, with that action, I would like to take this opportunity to make a few administrative announcements to the public. First, I'd like to announce that Dr. Jennifer Webster is our new Associate Superintendent for Administration and Leadership. Dr. Webster is currently the Director of Learning, Achievement, and Administration in the Office of School Support and Improvement in Washington County Public Schools, Maryland. She provides a broad and deep support, K through 12. Also, she has rich experiences as a Director of School and Support and Improvement for high schools, and prior to that level of capacity, also spent time in the schools as a high school and middle school principal, as well as a teacher prior to that. So we welcome.
Montgomery County?
Yes, did I?
You did watch it again.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes. It is Montgomery County Public Schools, Maryland. Thank you for that correction.
Sure.
So, but certainly, Dr. Webster, we're excited about her new position. She will start after Labor Day, and we welcome her to the Washington County Public Schools team from Montgomery County Public Schools in Maryland. Thank you.
You didn't say Frederick County.
I did not.
That's good.
Also, I'm pleased to announce the new principal of the Boyd J. Michael Technical High School. This is a familiar face, a current acting principal of the Boyd J. Michael III Technical High School, Robert Steich. And Mr. Steich was acting principal at the Technical High School, also was doing double duty, serving as the principal and coordinator for the Academy of Blended Learning Education. Also, prior to that, had high school experiences, had served in 4 different schools in Washington County as an assistant principal. I know we're excited to have Mr. Steich as the new Tech High principal, and we were just pleased to see his level of energy that he will bring to one of the shining stars in Washington County in the Technical High School. The last announcement that I would like to make is Mrs. Jennifer Bosman, once again another familiar face to Washington County. Mrs. Bosman will be the principal of the Academy of Blended Learning Education. She previously was assistant principal at E. Russell Hicks Middle School. Prior to that, she was Title I Curriculum Instruction Coordinator at Eastern Elementary. Also spent some time as English Language Arts lead teacher, central office level. Prior to that was a master teacher, English Language Arts for the Maryland Department of Education. So very broad experiences there, and we're excited for Ms. Bosman to be the principal at the Academy of Blended Learning Education. So, President Williams, that concludes my administrative announcements this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Savine. All right, at this time, we'll have our reports to the board, and we have one item under there, and it's board member committee reports. Would you like to begin down there?
Sure. We haven't met since the last board meeting, but we are going to meet August 23rd at 10:30 here, and we'll discuss the 3 A's, Able Antietam, and an after-school program.
Great, thank you, Dr. Zentmeyer. Mr. Evans, Finance Committee?
Our next meeting will be a week from today as well at 9 o'clock, and among other things, one that we will be talking about is also an after-school program.
Great, thank you. Policy Review and Development Committee.
Sure, policy met on August 9th, where we discussed some of the items that we approved here this evening. We also continued discussions on Board of Education member expenses, high school graduation requirements, and the use of school facilities by non-school groups. We will be meeting again in September on the 13th at 2 p.m.
Thank you, Mr. Bickford. Mrs. Murray, Human Resources Committee.
Yes, because curriculum and instruction and finance are meeting next Tuesday. HR is meeting next Thursday, the 25th at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Ms. Cruz, anything to report regarding student government?
Attended the Maryland Association of Student Councils Advance a few weeks ago, and I was able to connect with students from across the state and to talk to, I think, about 6 or 7 other student members in the state, and it was just so fun. I also attended a whole bunch of workshops, and I'm now a certified workshop presenter. So it was a great leadership experience and just a great way to make connections.
Well, congratulations on your certification as a workshop presenter. That's great. Okay, under miscellaneous business, as usual, we have our future agenda items, and you should have a list of 10 future agenda items as part of your packet, beginning with our September 6th meeting. We have, coming up on September 6th, several first readings and a second reading of policies. We also have we will be looking at and approving the general fund operating budget calendar for fiscal year 2024 on September 6th. And there will be an update on the apprenticeship program in Washington County also on the 6th. Our second meeting in September, September 20th, we'll be looking at our capital improvement plan for fiscal years 2023-2028. And also, we will be having a discipline and suspension report. And then in October, we'll be looking at our comprehensive maintenance plan for fiscal year 2024. We will have a presentation on the summer learning programs for this summer, 2022, and a presentation of the audited financial statements and the auditor's report. So that takes us through our first meeting in October. Should you have any suggestions for agenda items, please let a member of the Agenda Planning Committee know, and we will take care of getting those things on a future agenda. This time we'll have board member comments. Ms. Cruz, would you like to begin this evening?
Sure. So the next time we'll all be here at a public business meeting. School has started. So like Dr. Savine said, I just want to thank all the teachers that have been in classrooms. I met with the counselor just like yesterday about my schedule and college stuff. So yeah, thank you to the teachers that have been in school. And yeah, as this time of transition comes along, I hope everyone has a very safe, happy, and healthy next 2 weeks, back to school supply shopping and all of that. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. Mrs. Murray.
Yes, last Wednesday I had a chance to visit the new educator reception, and oh my gosh, there was a lot of energy in the room as Dr. Savine and I were sharing that. And there were many vendors there. There was a lot of WCPS staff. I was able to speak with a group of counselors that are new to WCPS and wish them a very successful year. And I'd just like to wish everyone, all of our WCPS staff, a great year.
Thank you, Mrs. Murray. Mr. Bickford.
A couple things. One, I appreciate you emailing us about the involvement of some of our partners in the business community, the greater Hagerstown community, and I believe that the Chamber of Commerce helped support the new educator reception, which is fantastic. Also, I was really excited with the new hire of our new associate superintendent, mainly looking at the pool of candidates who applied. Again, the talent that's out there that wants to work in Washington County is incredible, and the fact that we got such an experienced person from Montgomery County to come to Washington County, I think is a major win for us. And again, I'm excited to see what we can do for the speed skating project. It made me feel optimistic about programs for youth in Hagerstown, so thank you very
You
much.
have the need for speed now as a result of that?
Speed, I saw Top Gun, so I'm one of those, I'll need one of those, the scooters that when you're skating.
Mr. Evans?
Doesn't it feel like we're in trouble here, in the corner or something? No, it's been a great summer. We read the newspaper. We had some great accomplishments from our kids in Conacajig Little League, making it all the way to the Mid-Atlantic finals there. So that was incredible. See, our local Pony League is in the World Series as well. So congratulations to them. I know Valley Little League had some teams make it to the States. I'm sure there are other Little Leagues that had some great teams too. So it's awesome to see all the great things that our youth are doing, especially when we find out about some of the lesser known sports and see the incredible things that things like Miss Leisure and her team are doing. So keep it up, have fun, and good luck to teachers and students.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Dr. Zedmeyer?
Well, when Horace Mann, and if you're an educator, Horace Mann rings a bell for you, started the Common School movement in the 1830s, he envisioned a more uniform, centralized, government-controlled education system, which led to a lot of angst. In 1840, a legislative session got together to consider their worries. They worried that it was destroying America's republic principles. They worried that when education was centralized, they could kiss goodbye the common schools, religious liberty, and political freedom. They worried about education being used for increased government power in the hands of a few rather than the true spirit of democratic institutions. They worried about schools being used for the purposes of propaganda, reducing parents' influence over their children. Sound familiar? Well, 200 years later, we're getting ready to start school again. Horace Mann's vision won out, but if you're a parent, please continue to partner with us so that what we do with you is the very best thing for kids in our county. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Zedmeyer. I want to make the public aware that last evening, Dr. Sovine, board leadership, and two staff members, Mr. Prue and Mrs. Ram, attended a very well-attended public hearing at the Boonesboro Legion held by the town of Boonesboro. I'm pleased to say that the town of Boonesboro and the Board of Education have a mutual agreement on a concept for the Chase 6 Boulevard Campus Avenue realignment and intersection project. Next steps are for the Board of Education to finalize that agreement with the town of Boonesboro and the Board of County Commissioners. So we're looking forward to moving ahead with that very important project that will have an impact on student safety in the town of Boonesboro. Dr. Sovine, do you have any closing remarks? Or?
President Williams, I just want to say thank you to Ms. Cruz, our student representative on this board, modeling so well the importance of continuous learning by participating and earning the certificate through MABE. Your voice is critical to keeping us grounded because this board and superintendent, we're here to serve you. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sovine. Colleagues, anything further? Okay, then we will adjourn. Thank you.